how to calculate the gradient given 2 points on a line. In other words, we will learn how to calculate the gradient given 2 points that are on a specific line. So let's take 2 points. These 2 points, let them be A, 7, 10, and B, 5, and 4. Now there's an equation that we will be using. Gradient is simply a change in y over a change in x, given by the equation m equals change in y over change in x, which is equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We'll be learning algebraically here how to calculate for the gradient. Now what is x2 and x1, y2, y1? Well, it's just a label to points given. So since A is the first point and B is the second point, any one of these 2 points could have been called the first or the second. But since we know A comes before B, we'll take this as to be the first point. And since A is now the first point labeled, we'll call the values of A, which is 7 and 10, to have variables as letters. We call this x1, y1. Why? Because this is the first point. And since this is the second point, we'll call this x2, y2. Please note that these values 1, 1, 2, 2 is only to identify that this is the first point and this is the second point. So let's substitute into our equation, because that is what we need to do. That is our next step to calculate for the gradient. Giving us now, what's the value of y2? 4 minus y1, which is 10, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which is 7. 4 less 10 give us negative 6, over 5 less 7 give us negative 2. But now we end up with a fraction, and so we have a negative 6 divided by a negative 2, and a negative divided by a negative will give us a positive, and so 6 divided by 2 will give us a 3. So our result is 3. Now this is the gradient of these 2 points. Okay. However, we must be careful when we substitute here. If you notice, our values were all positive. Now what would then happen if we were to substitute them from positions? It should give us the same result. Nevertheless, let's see if it will work. So let's call A to be our second point. So it's x2, y2, and B to be our first point. Equation. Now remember, we simply change the position so that we can prove it. y2 10, y1 4, over x2 7, x1 5. This gives us 6 over 2, which is still at 3. So it concludes that it is true. Okay, now be careful when you substitute them. Okay, this is first example, calculating the gradient given 2 points on a line. Example 1, when all values are positive. Please look at the other video that will follow so that you may understand how to do our proper substitution when there are values which are negative. Thank you.